The rain hammered down on the Viridian plains as Harold trudged through the mud, his combat boots sinking with each step. 20 years of service in the Terran Defense Corps had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now, every nerve in his body screamed danger. He'd been tracking the distress signal for 2 hours when he saw them. Three figures lying motionless in a crater filled with murky water. Harold's tactical visor zoomed in, and his breath caught. Dragonkin, female, unarmored. The Draconis Empire had been humanity's fiercest rival for decades, their shape-shifting warriors legendary across the galaxy. Yet here they were, vulnerable and exposed. Harold approached cautiously, his plasma rifle ready. The first woman had crimson scales scattered across her pale skin, barely visible beneath the layer of mud. Her breathing was shallow, labored. The second bore silver markings along her arms, her eyes half open and unfocused. The third, with obsidian-dark features, appeared completely unconscious. Survivors from the orbital strike, Harold muttered, recognizing the telltale signs of atmospheric entry burns on their bodies. The battle 3 days ago had been brutal. Terran forces had repelled a Draconis assault fleet, but not without casualties on both sides. His military training warred with his conscience. These were enemy combatants. Protocol demanded he call it in, let command decide their fate. But Harold had seen enough death. These weren't soldiers anymore. They were just three beings clinging to life. He knelt beside the crimson-scaled woman, checking her pulse. Weak, but steady. Hold on, he whispered, reaching for his emergency medical kit. That's when he saw it. A fourth arm, partially submerged in the mud, its fingers twitching slightly. Harold's heart rate spiked. His visor detected no other life signs in the immediate area, but that arm was definitely moving. He stood quickly, rifle aimed at the spot. Show yourself. Slowly, the mud began to churn. What emerged made Harold's blood run cold. Not because it was monstrous, but because it was heartbreakingly human. A young woman, maybe 20 standard years old, her skin covered in mud and blood. But it was her eyes that stopped him, brilliant green, filled with terror and determination in equal measure. She clutched something to her chest, shielding it from the rain. Fanny. Harold's voice cracked with recognition. She froze. How do you know my name? Harold's mind reeled. Fanny Chun. Missing in action for 6 months after the Battle of Proxima Station. Presumed dead. He'd served with her older brother, Marcus, who'd never stopped searching. Marcus sent letters to everyone in the old unit, Harold said slowly, lowering his rifle slightly. Your picture was in everyone. He never gave up hope. Tears mixed with the rain on Fanny's face. I couldn't contact anyone. The Draconis, they didn't capture me, Harold. They saved me. She shifted, revealing what she'd been protecting. A small, scaled infant, barely the size of a human newborn, wrapped in tattered fabric. Its tiny chest rose and fell with each breath. After my ship went down, I ejected over their occupied moon. Fanny continued, her voice trembling. I should have died. But these three, she gestured to the unconscious dragon women. They found me, nursed me back to health, protected me from their own military police who wanted to execute a Terran prisoner. Harold's tactical computer finally assembled the pieces. The orbital strike had hit a Draconis medical frigate, designated non-combat by both sides' rules of engagement. Someone had made a terrible mistake. The child, he asked quietly, belongs to Seraphine. Fanny nodded toward the silver-scaled woman. Her mate died defending the frigate from pirates 2 months ago. She was 7 months pregnant when we were hit during the evacuation. Harold felt the weight of the universe pressing down on him. Decades of war, millions dead on both sides. And here, in this muddy crater, all of that hatred meant nothing. Just beings trying to survive, trying to protect each other. That he made his decision in seconds. My transport is half a click east, Harold said, slinging his rifle across his back. We can fit everyone if we're creative. There's a neutral medical station on the moon of Kepler, 442b. No questions asked, no records kept. Fanny's eyes widened. You'd be court-martialed. Imprisoned for treason. Yeah, well. Harold knelt beside the crimson-scaled woman, gently lifting her from the mud. I didn't survive 20 years of war by following every stupid order. Besides, your brother would never forgive me if I left you here. Together, they worked quickly. Harold carried each of the dragon women, while Fanny cradled the infant, using her knowledge of Draconis physiology to stabilize them with what little medical supplies they had. The storm provided cover, scrambling sensors and giving them a narrow window as they reached Harold's transport, a battered but reliable Terran scout ship. Fanny paused. "Why are you doing this?" Harold secured the last of his passengers, then met her gaze. "I've killed enough people following orders, Fanny. Maybe it's time I saved some by breaking them." The ship's engines hummed to life, lifting them away from the battlefield. Below, the war continued, machines and ideologies grinding against each other in an endless cycle of violence. But in that small ship, carrying 7 souls across the stars, something different emerged. Not peace, perhaps, but the fragile possibility of it. A human veteran and a lost soldier, 3 wounded dragon mothers, and an infant who knew nothing of the hatred between their peoples. Harold set the coordinates for the neutral station, his hands steady on the controls despite the magnitude of what he'd just done. In the reflection of the cockpit glass, he saw Fanny singing softly to the child, its tiny scaled hand wrapped around her finger. Sometimes, Harold thought, the most human thing you could do was choose compassion over orders, mercy over revenge, even if it cost you everything else.